On this most holy night, when Jesus gave himself for our salvation through the signs of his body and blood, we gather in deep gratitude. First of all, gratitude for the Eucharist, gratitude for the priesthood. And I will say something about that in a minute. We also seem to find ourselves at war with Satan, who has decided to stage an unprecedented media attack on the Holy Father himself. Now, Holy Fathers have been attacked down through the centuries. A little over 500 years ago, a bunch of the Swiss Guard were killed defending Pope Julius from an invading army. It's not the first time that popes have ever been attacked, one way or another, but it is an unprecedented media assault. And a good friend sent me an email this morning, and I'd just like to read you a part of it and give you a brief comment, and then we'll be on to the final point. He writes, at 5:30 this morning, the reason for the attacks on the church was clearly stated by the British Broadcasting Company, BBC. They almost made a mistake letting the cat out of the bag. They said, as the church is shaken by the sex abuse crisis, is it time for the church to reconsider its position on condoms and AIDS, on contraception, on divorce and remarriage, on celibacy, on same-sex marriage, on women priests? The friend who wrote says, we know a loathing for our moral positions is behind this, but I had seldom heard it expressed so blatantly. The idea is to destroy the church by destroying her moral authority, getting at the Pope, and not only to destroy the moral teaching of the church, but to destroy the moral teaching of the natural law. Our teaching, as a matter of fact, on condoms and AIDS and artificial contraception and abortion and on marriage are the teaching of the church, but in the first place, they're the teaching of the natural moral law, the law of reason which binds all human beings. When you attack reason, then the human race is left with no starting point for anything. And the moral authority of the church relies on the moral laws of reason, the natural moral law. And here the BBC lets the cat out of the bag. Let's take the occasion of the sex abuse crisis, and we'll tell you what's really on our mind. To finish off the truth that the church teaches, to finish off the truth of the natural moral law. A lot of people are being used in this battle of Satan. I don't think for a minute that all of them know that they're being used. I don't think that all of them want to be used. Satan is too clever for that. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that a lot of people are being used. And it's kind of interesting that just as they attack the moral authority of the Holy Father, some other people are saying, isn't it wonderful that the moral authority of some sisters in the church is so well respected? As the moral authority of the Holy Father is attacked, the moral authority of certain sisters, not many, probably about 200 out of 59,000, the moral authority of a small number of sisters is exalted as the Holy Father. See, that is what we mean by a satanic attack. The devil is super intelligent, and he has a superhuman will, and he can come up with things like this. He's very good at it. And it's Holy Week. Just remember, not that many years ago, right during Holy Week, ABC aired every night, just about, that movie, The Thornbirds, to attack the church. Right during Holy Week. Satan has a superhuman intelligence and a superhuman will, and he goes right for the jugular. And so St. Ignatius Loyola would say, do you want to fight under the banner of Satan, or do you want to fight under the banner of Christ? It's one or the other, and everyone has to make up his or her mind. And as we commemorate tonight Christ's total gift of love to us, what could our response be except, I will choose to fight under the banner of Jesus Christ, so that the world will know the glory and the peace of God. That's the first point. The second point. In just a few moments, we're going to have the washing of the feet, the representation of what Christ did at the Last Supper. And it's important for us to realize what was going on there. Jesus instituted the Eucharist, the perfect sacrifice of our salvation, the total giving of himself to us, in the deepest friendship that there could ever be. Christ gave us the Eucharist, and as he said to the apostles, do this in memory of me, he also instituted the priesthood. He ordained the first bishops, who would then ordain priests. This is the year for priests. And the Last Supper was a uniquely priestly celebration. Jesus was there with the apostles. And then after dinner, Jesus gave his new bishops, the apostles, their first conference, their first continuing formation conference, if you will, from the Lord himself. That's what the washing of the feet is. It's the first instruction of Jesus himself to his newly ordained bishops. So it's important. And we wash the feet the way we wash the feet of 12 men representing those apostles. Jesus loved his mother more than he loved anybody else in the world, and still does. But his mother wasn't at the Last Supper, and he didn't wash her feet there. This was for the apostles, the new bishops. And he washed their feet, and then he said, you are my special friends. As I wash your feet, you are to wash one another's feet. Meaning, in the first place, the other apostles and all the bishops and the priests who would come after them. The washing of the feet was not some kind of a generic ceremony to symbolize service. The washing of the feet was all about the intimacy of the bond of holy orders, of priests and bishops among themselves. And Jesus shows us by the washing of the feet that priests among themselves and with the bishop are in the first place to be humble. No bishop, no priest is perfect. And we gotta act like we're not perfect. No one of us can afford to act as though we never made a mess. Because we all have made messes in our human weakness. No one of us can afford to pretend that we haven't made a mess. But to wash one another's feet means with a smile. To clean up one another's messes. With a smile. To be humble enough and say, I'll clean that up as though I did it myself. That's the humility of the bond of priests among themselves and of priests with the bishop. Sometimes if the bishop makes a mess, all the priests have to clean it up. But that's what we all sign up for when we're ordained and we study this first conference of Jesus to his newly ordained bishops. The washing of the feet is an intimate gesture of brotherly love. In order to wash someone's feet, to make them welcome, you have to care about them. And you have to care about them in a very personal and human way. There may be a lot of other things you can do for a person. You can give them a nice gift at Christmas, or maybe a card with a $100 bill in it. But it's harder to wash their feet, whatever form that takes. And there are a lot of people to whom people give gifts at Christmas. And we've all seen the approach where people try to give approximately the value that they received the last year. It's like paying for something. It's not really like giving a gift. But when someone needs his or her feet washed, when someone has an intimate personal need, and if I get involved in that need, it's not going to be the most pleasant thing in the world. There's the gift of love. And all of us, as disciples of Jesus, should have that love, but especially the priests among themselves and the priests with the bishop. So in this year for priests, please, as I said at the Chrism Mass, pray hard for them, love them, support them. Support them to be the humble and loving servants with Jesus that he called them to be at the Last Supper when he washed the feet of his apostles and as we do now. Praise be Jesus Christ.